What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I want to talk about. I almost said my attitude. Having the importance of having a good attitude in the workplace.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Extremely important. Probably the most important. Because goddamn, if you're a good photographer, but you're a big piece of shit, I'd rather have no photographer.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
God, if I ever had to work with someone like that, yeah. So, what do you want to tell me?
So I was talking to my dad about something related to business, and he's like, "You gotta fix your attitude." The meeting with, and he was like, "You gotta fix your attitude because that shit isn't gonna work." And I was like, "I don't care. Like, I'm here to take fire pictures. My clients love me. I don't. Other photographers don't have to like me. I don't want them to like me. It's a competition." You know, we were just coming on that I can come on strong sometimes in life in general.
Yeah.
Where personal relationships, friendships, you know, when I meet people in personal, like in a part of, you know, whatever. But also it translates to business. Like when I went to Search and Destroy.
You just put your dick on the table and you're just like, all right, you gonna suck it or not?
So
take your dick and get out of here.
Yeah. Matter of fact, leave your dick, take you out of there. Ooh, separate me and an old friend.
Yeah.
So, you know, I talked to my therapist about it, and it's an interesting dynamic. Because I was under the impression that if I'm a good enough photographer, my attitude won't matter. When in reality, it's the opposite. Yeah. If your attitude is poor, your skills don't matter.
Exactly.
You can be the best photographer in the world. You could be Peter. If Peter McKinnon was a dickhead, he wouldn't get any views or work.
Yeah, no one wants to associate with that.
Right. So I don't know. I just been thinking about that, and like, you know, coming off the conversation we had like off camera, like a few nights ago, that I don't know what I have to do, but I have to change, and I don't know what it entails, because I don't watch myself, if that makes sense. Like, I know how I felt during that meeting, so I can imagine what it came off as. But like, I can't watch myself outside of my body. But like, what would you say? Like,
I feel like you're always trying to prove yourself.
Right.
I feel like it's always like, you know, you come into a room and it's like, this is how it is, and that's it. Like I said, you have to pick your battles better.
Right. Not everything is a battle anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would agree with that. That I'm so...
You have to be willing to compromise.
Right. I'm so fearful of getting fucked over that I compensate for that by... If they don't want to work with me, fine, but at least they won't fuck me over. When in actuality, not everyone is just like... So what my therapist talked to me about is like, I'm super competitive when it comes to this shit. And that's a problem twofold, because one, it's not... Like, the week I had, like, 5 shoots and then 4, I was dead.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to do that.
So, to think that I want more work, that I'm getting upset that I don't have every job, why would I want that? Like, realistically, when I sat back and thought about, like, if I'm tired from 5 and 7 days and 4 and 5, then, like, why would I want 8 and 7?
Also, if you have every job, that means photography is not doing very well. Think about it. It's a monopoly. Like... Why would you want to have a monopoly on one thing? What is the fun in that?
Right, it kills the culture.
Yeah.
Another thing was, she said the reason most likely that I walk into a room thinking that I already need to defend myself and prove myself is because, you know, if I have that attitude, then I expect other people to have that attitude, when really they don't. So I went into that meeting thinking they're going to try and either take advantage of us or like compete with us, and I need to defend preemptively. When really, I was the only one that had that view of things. The same skills that I was using no longer work.
It's just not reality. It's just not the reality of the situation.
Right. And I do think competitiveness fuels me in a way, in a good way. Yes. And I think it pushes me in a positive way.
But that needs to be internal.
Right. It can't be... I can't be looking for fights essentially.
Yes. No. You're only going to beat to your detriment.
Right. I'm like trying to make enemies. That part of it is toxic. I should be competitive with myself and who I was yesterday.
Yes.
Not
Everybody else.
right, because you can't even compare. How am I going to compete with Lynn Paul, who doesn't do the same thing, and how am I going to compete with someone who's done it for 10 years? I'm not. And then I lose.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's just I was in the wrong race to begin
You're
with.
just putting more weight on yourself that doesn't need to be there. Like
Right.
it's already difficult trying to make money doing photography and
Right.
videography, let alone making
Not
it
enjoying it.
Not enjoying it, but making a competition with everyone else who is just trying to make it on their own as well. Like you should want people around you that are making it because then it's something to
Right.
strive for.
Right. So I'm not sure what I have to do to get that out of my head because it's a very ingrained habit.
Yeah, it's an outlook thing.
Yeah, it's just how I view a lot of the world, that people are coming for your spot.
Yes.
And I'm not sure how to change it, but I know I need to.
It's going to be habitual.
Right. It's a habit thing.
Yes.
I can't pick and choose.
No one's trying to tear you down.
Right. Dua Lipa being on the top of the charts isn't taking food out of Drake's mouth, per
No.
se. You know what I mean? Like, Justin Bieber's not starving. Ed Sheeran's doing fine. They can coexist. Like, artists can coexist. Because, I mean, the fact that Instagram exists shows that the consumer is always looking for some sort of content.
Well, a lot of that mindset is a corporate mindset of like we could be the only ones who do this because that's how we'll make the most money.
So I was talking to my dad about that, and I was like, he was like, why is it a competition? Like, that doesn't make sense to me from a business standpoint. Because that's where it comes down for me. Is like, from a business standpoint, it's a competition. The more money I make, and the less money someone else makes, the more money for me. But he was saying that's not making money. If making money is your goal, then you're in it for the wrong reasons. So he brought it back to the search and destroy. I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that this guy doesn't want to make a website, have a social media presence. I couldn't even fathom that, because why wouldn't he want to make more money and grow and expand? And my dad explained that is a niche. It's a niche culture and it's a niche store, and it's been around since the 70s. And whereas I'm the outsider looking in, thinking, oh, it could be so much bigger. When he is the founder of it, and he might be looking around his little store being like, this is everything I've always wanted. And it's enough for him, and he's more than happy with it. And he doesn't want it to be commercialized like a Hot Topic. And that was interesting because if someone came to me and was like, I'll give you $1 million and Shaolin Visuals can hire 50 people and you can start doing every wedding on the island tomorrow, I don't know if I would do that.
Yeah, no, that'd be a nightmare.
Because I want Shaolin Visuals to represent something more than just like
wedding cinematography.
Right.
Which is perfectly fine.
And that there's nothing against that. It's just not what I want to do.
It's not what Shaolin Visuals is about.
But my dad said like, oh, but that would be growth, wouldn't it? You'd make more money, you'd have more work, but you wouldn't want that. And it made me realize that, like, yeah, I guess having your own business is something deeply personal, something to be proud of, and
it's a reflection of yourself.
Could Wicked Florist make more money if he commercialized? Probably.
But he might not even have the money to do that. There's so many other factors that we don't know about.
Exactly. And he might just not want to. He likes that niche, and maybe he doesn't need all the money in the world. Maybe he just enjoys being the guy that goth weddings come to, and that's fine. And I shouldn't. It's not my business. It's not my money. It's not my choice. It's not my life. If that's paying the bills and feeding his family, I should have nothing to say.
Yeah.
But I think what happened was I thought I knew better than the owner of Search and Destroy.
Yes.
I thought that not only did I know better from a business standpoint, but I assumed to know what he wanted, which makes no sense. And I guess I didn't see that.
I think also another factor is you don't like being rejected. Sometimes you have trouble being rejected by people.
Yeah.
And you need to accept that if someone doesn't want you, then that's all the more reason for you to not want to chase after them.
Right. And I think, and to go back to Search and Destroy, it's gotten to the point where that company doesn't want just anyone walking in there. Like, they have baby dolls without heads and giving the middle finger, and they're in a basement. They don't have a sign. Like, they don't want. it's weird.
Can you
It
imagine some
sounds
guy-
anti-business and anti-capitalist.
Imagine if you weren't you and you were just some guy in a suit and tie and you walked in there and it's like, hey, we'd love to put a sign up front for you if you give us a little chinga chinga chinga
right?
chinga.
Yeah, I'm sure we'd be
But
sent
you
away
look
as well.
like you, so you don't see it from that perspective. But what you did was like a corporate thing.
Really?
You walked in there and you tried to tell someone how they got to do their business.
Is that a corporate thing?
That's a corporate thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, like when you say corporate shit, sometimes you have a mindset of like a corporate drone. Yeah,
Whoa.
seriously.
Okay.
Well, because you also, I told you a lot of the shit that happens in the hood, where you think that culture comes from too. It's not
yeah,
just
it's
hood
trickled
culture.
down. Yeah.
It's
like,
from like the cutthroat nature of big businesses in
Right.
America. There's a reason why.
yeah.
Yeah,
And especially like
they
being
it's adopted.
around my dad and stuff, and he watches business shows, and
Mhm.
you know, it is cutthroat.
Yeah.
Making money is.
They will drop you the second that
Right.
you become a liability.
Right.
A second.
Whereas sometimes I forget, like you always said, we don't work with cameras, we work with people.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, me with a camera doesn't do shit for me as a portrait photographer.
Yes. You need to work with people.
Right. And whether that means on a team,
You're going to reach a point where you're going to be talking not to just models. You're going to be talking to agencies. You're going to be talking to people who have multiple models. Maybe they want to hire
and
you.
multiple photographers, right.
And you have to accept that, you know,
Right.
you can't get them
Maybe
all.
I don't get to edit my own shit,
Yeah. Maybe you don't get to edit your own shit.
which I almost said, God forbid it comes to that point, but
But
it's not maybe a bad
it
thing.
might.
Maybe the next guy is better at editing because he doesn't have to worry about photography.
And it also takes a
You
lot
know?
off your plate. I have to learn to almost outsource some of the things that I want to do because some people could do it better and it's just not worth my time at a certain point. Is it going to be worth your time to sit there and Photoshop something for 30 minutes?
When another guy can do it in 5.
Yeah.
He might not be able to take a photo,
and
but
you could do it for like $10,
Right.
whereas your time is worth more than that.
or if they're within the company,
If we're going to use your rate.
right? Or if it's within another company
Mm-hmm.
I'm working for at the time, like I might not have a choice. I might have to hand over my photo, make sure it's the best it can be in
Mm-hmm.
photo, and just relinquish it to this guy who's an expert, let's say in editing.
Now, obviously, there's like standards. Like
Of
you have
course.
to know what I mean. Like you have to
What it's
agree to
gonna-
that. You have-
yeah,
it's,
and-
not, if they-
and-
it's different if they blindside you.
Right. And I'd imagine like me and that person would meet and know the end goal for the company,
Yes.
so that it's not about me
For
or
the
him.
project,
It's about the
Exactly.
product. And that's another thing that like I have to when I started the business, I knew that the product, the end product, means a lot more now because people are paying for it.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to come at an expense. Sometimes I get obsessed with an idea of a shot,
Mhm.
and I'll go to great lengths to get it.
Yeah.
But sometimes those lengths aren't worth it.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, if there's, especially the type of photography I do, abandoned places, like this staircase doesn't look that solid.
I told you about that interview I did with the woman who was the casting director for all those music videos.
Mm-hmm.
She hates when people come up to her just to network their shit. She don't want to hear that shit.
Right.
She wants to know about you. She wants to get to know you first. She wants to
Right.
like see what you're about. That's why we had that meeting.
And I think
is they wanted to get an
yeah.
idea what we're
And
about.
what's weird is I do that with clients so well,
Mhm.
and that's why we have 20 plus
Yeah.
5-star ratings.
But when it comes to people with a status or maybe they have
right,
you know, a
Like,
title,
yeah,
you,
I
you
get
put your guard up.
defensive, yeah.
Yeah.
I just
They're people too.
right, and I think I'm very protective over Sheldon Visuals because I started it basically,
Yeah.
and like I put so much work into it. I don't want to get taken advantage of. I don't want to. I don't know.
You have to
But I have to be willing to take that risk if I'm going to open up and expand
Yeah.
the business. And
my rule is I give people my trust until they give me a reason not to give them my trust. And like that always doesn't always work out, but when the alternative can't trust anybody,
which is what I lean towards.
I'd rather get burned and just like be careful.
Right,
and-
I have
and
too
take the
much
lesson that
pride
comes
to
with
get
it.
burned sometimes that
Yeah.
I need to put that pride aside and be like, let's take a chance on
Well, I
this
always
guy.
say when I went rollerblading that one time, the one thing I wanted to make sure I didn't do is fall. I don't care how stupid I looked. I don't, but you have to fall.
Right,
That's the
you
whole
don't
point.
get better.
The only way you get better is to fall. But
Right, you got to take the training wheels off eventually.
Yes. But also, to be fair, when I walked into the rollerblading place, this girl's femur was sticking out of her leg. So I think it was fair for me not to
Right.
want to fall.
Yeah.
But you have to fall and you have to fail because
Yeah,
failure is not a loss, it's a lesson.
right. And throughout my life, failure has been
Loss.
loss and the lessons have been harsh.
Mm-hmm.
When I have fucked up in the past, I've paid dearly for it.
Yes. The stakes aren't as high now.
Right, and I need to get used to that.
Mm-hmm.
That
Sometimes the loss will just be a loss of time.
right, and I'm fine with that because I have nothing but time.
Yes.
Not that my time is valuable, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If there's a lesson in it,
if it's
then
a choice between losing time and losing
years off my life, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I've just been thinking about that a lot. How to change my attitude for the better and be more approachable, I guess.
Can I give you another piece of advice?
Of course, yeah. Well, I was gonna eventually ask you, like, what
Yeah.
advice would you give me as someone? Because you gotta understand, I don't do interviews. I've never really had a job. You've been in the workplace more often. You've worked with people way more than I have. So I'm open to any
if
advice.
I could give you one piece of advice that is super important, is just listen. You need to just sit there and listen to the vibe of the room. Pay attention to things instead of always trying to contribute or like add something. Like when I go on client shoots, the one I did with the interview, I didn't like try to contribute. I mean, I did what they asked me to do because it's not my place to take over. I just listened and I just got an idea of what they did and how they worked and got a vibe for it.
So you can immediately add to what they were trying to do.
Yeah, once I had enough information, I knew what they were doing, I knew what they were about. Then I pitch in and contribute.
So you need to know what their end goal is before you can even start talking
Yeah,
about.
and I mean, like, every clique and group has different expectations of each other. Like, you could go into, like us. When we're talking, you can talk about anything. But if you're with a bunch of Catholic school nurses, you can't talk about dicks and pussy.
Right.
It's not going to be the topic of the conversation for the day.
Right, most likely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that my dad said is I have to just shut up and listen sometimes. Or just observe.
Yeah.
Because if I have been paying attention or listen to you, where the guy, they don't have a website, they don't have a social media, they don't have a phone number. If I had
Never
observed
asked
that,
why.
Exactly. And I didn't listen to you when you told me like they don't want to grow.
Not that they don't want to grow, but they don't want to grow.
They don't want to
at
commercialize.
expense of themselves.
Right. And I just didn't listen to you. And I should have to save myself the embarrassment and trouble of going all the way to, But yeah, that was the advice he gave me too. Is just sometimes you're not the one that knows.
Yeah.
Especially with client work, like I with my clients, I always try to ask them like, what are you going for? And I don't know why I don't do that with. I sometimes I don't want to be seen as like a yes man or like a yuppie. Like, oh yeah, this guy's working for me now, and I can just tell him anything and he'd do it. Like, no, I still want to stand on my own, morals and or and
that
ideas,
also plays into the fact that you come off too strong in the sense where you're not listening, you're just trying to interject.
Right, like here's what I can do,
something.
and here's how I can help, but do I even know the plan? Maybe that's my idea of what they should do, but my idea doesn't matter if they're hiring me.
Yeah,
exactly. Like if they're the ones, that come to me to help them. I'm not going to change their idea. They have an idea already of what they want to do. I'm just there to make it happen. And I think another thing is a lot of my clients don't. I have the luxury a lot of times of choosing the theme.
Well, you also deal with people who only have modeled a handful of times.
Right.
So they need that guidance, but not everyone does. If you're working with a professional model, you're not going to have to tell her what poses to hit all the time.
Right.
She's just going to do it because she's credible.
Right. But yeah, I think that I work so often just one-on-one with a client where I'm not in charge, but I don't know how to. I have not the final say, but
you have
my
control of the situation.
My opinions hold weight.
Yeah,
and
they should.
Right, in that situation. But when it comes to an equal playing field where we're all creators, why do I just assume he doesn't know what he's doing?
Yeah.
Or why do I?
Because he has something going for himself as well.
Exactly. Why do I assume he needs me to fit? He doesn't. There are other photographers that can do what I do.
Yeah.
And there are no, I don't know many photographers who do what I do, but that doesn't mean they couldn't. No one, like
if
you
there
said.
was money in it?
Right. Why would they want to? Sure, I might be a rare photographer on Staten Island, Gothic photography, but if I come with an attitude and like all this baggage and stuff, I'll get someone else.
Yeah.
Because I'll save money in the time that I spend dicking around with this guy, and I could just get someone who will just put their head down and work.
Yeah.
And
there's nothing wrong with putting your head down and work.
Right.
I prefer that.
I think
there are so many businesses where you just do meetings all the time.
Right.
I'd rather just sit there and just do the work.
Yeah, and I think that another thing have always been against, like, not 9 to 5s, but you know what I mean. I've always wanted to do what I want to do. And I think I need to let that go to a point.
Yeah.
Where having my own business I am doing what I want to do, but it doesn't mean that I can't listen to others and respect what they have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm being hired for something, yeah, I'm gonna have to. It's no longer my input to, give my opinion or whatever. It's just like when you do music videos, you don't get to be like, I don't like this song, let's do another one.
Yeah.
No, they came to you with the
No.
song and an idea.
Yeah.
And it's only your job to make it happen in the best
Mm-hmm.
way possible.
best of
Give
my
them the
ability.
best product
Yep.
possible. And you don't get to say, could you change this verse? Like, no, like that's not your place.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to get used to, if I have to answer to someone, it doesn't make me less of a person.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, I'm doing what someone else wants me to do. In the overarching thing, I'm still doing photography for a living. I'm still doing what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not my idea.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not what I would have chosen, but I'm still doing something that like not many people have an opportunity to do, which is make money off what they love doing.
Yeah.
And so whether it's always my idea or not, I should just be thankful for like where I'm at right now at this age. And I think I lose sight of that sometimes because I guess pride and like ego. I'll say it, ego. Like, I started my own
yes.
business. Blah, blah, blah. Like it was just me and a camera.
Yeah.
Boy, shut up. Like,
Yeah. No.
Like I had people that took the chance on me that hired me for my first shoots that
They didn't have to.
I really should be thankful.
Mm-hmm.
But in this business, like you get chosen one, be thankful.
Mm-hmm.
And that made connections. And, that's more valuable than,
Then
any of that.
all those photo shoots.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, and that goes back to like me trying to be the best and dominate and monopolize, and it's just not going to happen. There are too many people good at what they do,
Yeah.
putting in just as much work, that instead of, I should just respect that and just do what I do, especially because I do such different shit.
Mhm.
Like if I did specifically what another photographer does in the same area, then maybe it would make sense with the same clientele. But that's such a specific situation.
Yeah.
And even if you did the same shit, you would do it differently with different people.
There's no such thing.
It's
as
not like being in the
equals like that.
interviewing and you're in the same room together looking for the same job. Yeah, I guess that's competition. But if you've prepared correctly, that's all you can do.
It almost isn't though, because if you don't get the job, you just need to accept, just like with any other form of rejection, is that I'm not the right person for the job if they don't think I'm the right person for the job.
And that's another thing is that I was looking at some of the jobs that, our friends that are photographers have taken. Christenings, weddings, editorial fashion shoots and stuff.
You couldn't hold a baby.
And I don't have any interest in that.
Yeah.
So why am I...
Why do you want it?
Right. And I think my therapist told me, like, if you sit back and think, if you take that step back and just think for a minute, yes, they got a job. But would it have been the right job for you anyway? Can you, in some space, in the right headspace, sit back and say, yeah, they were better for that job than I would have been? And I can, when I'm in that right mental space. Like, normally that would hurt my pride. Like, damn, I'm not good at everything. Well, who the fuck is good at everything? I'm very proficient in a lot of different portraits. And so I should just be grateful for the skills I have and work on those and work towards what I want to do instead of worrying about things that I don't even want.
Yeah.
And it sounds silly when I say it now, when I hear myself say it, because it's like...
Because you think it was getting taken away from you in the first place. That's
right,
why.
when really I didn't want it. If I had wanted it, I would have been in those... my name would have been in those conversations. But if you look through my posts, why would my name be in a christening? Hey, we need a photographer for a christening. Let's choose this guy that's never done one.
Yeah.
No.
You've never held a baby.
Exactly. And so I don't advertise it. Why would I? I've been...
Shallow visuals now doing
right.
christenings.
I can't wonder why men don't hit me up, because there's like 5 guys on my page.
Yeah.
I've done like
But-
maybe 10 out of 600.
But when it is something you want to do, you just have to put
I have
more
to
of the
practice.
effort
Right,
into
I have to
it.
seek it out and practice.
Which you are. You're doing
Right.
that with male. I just saw that you've posted
Yeah, my boy Vinny.
male model.
And I got a shoot with him next week with
And we
a
tried.
motorcycle.
We just tried to do a shoot over the weekend that fell through, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
But,
we're trying to shoot more.
Yeah,
men.
I'm trying to. Yeah, when I want to do something like if I really was that upset about the christening thing that someone stole a job, like then
Then when you
wouldn't
went,
I
you
seek
went
it
to go
out?
shoot a christening right,
Right.
after. But you did.
Yeah, I would've found
What'd
it.
you do? You did a goth
Right.
photo shoot in
Yeah,
the
I did.
cemetery.
Yeah, I did. I did the shoot with Chelsea, I think. So I have to stop.
You have to trust people more.
Yeah, and I have to trust my I guess my gut, my intuition more. That like if I'm not chasing it, I probably don't want it that badly.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say, oh, I lost that job, and then I never looked for it to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
No, if my dream was to be a event photographer, I'll call it, like weddings, Christmas, stuff like that, I would have already gone down a different route.
You wouldn't have the lenses you have.
Literally, yeah. So I can't complain about it, but also not do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when I don't feel anything for it. Like I don't feel the want to do that. You know, like if I got hired for one, sure, but like, would I just want to do 50 of them a year? No, hell no.
You wouldn't have time to do what you love.
Exactly. And so I think sometimes I get caught up in that people, oh, they're getting paid jobs for stuff, but for what? You know? Because like one of my things, I wish I got more paid gigs, but
not all paid work is equal.
Right.
Some paid work is more than it's worth.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if I got, like I said, if I had to do a christening shoot like twice a week, if someone guaranteed me contract, hey, 3 to 4 times a week you'll be getting paid work doing christenings.
We're talking 4 or 5 babies a day.
Right.
Can you handle that?
Yeah. And could I? Sure.
Yeah.
But my soul would
at the expense.
that I hate kids. I don't like being in churches if they're not abandoned.
The people you'd have to
the act I'd have to put on would be Emmy award winning.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. The amount of mental energy you'd be spending.
Exactly.
In order to do that.
Like just knowing that I'm passing, because then I'd pass up shoots that I'd actually want to be doing,
Sorry,
whether paid or not.
I can't come to the
cemetery today.
To the abandoned warehouse photo shoot today.
Right.
Because I have a christening to do. From 6 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock in the evening.
Everyone's gonna be in suits, and I have to dress. Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also in Missouri.
Yeah, like I wouldn't. But you make a good point that like the paid work will come once I establish myself in the niche that I want, and it is not a commercialized niche, and that's why I think I'm.
Well, you have to find the commercialized aspects of it, which I think the clothing and the fashion.
Yeah, and I think
you
COVID is hurting right now because
COVID's completely decimated us.
Especially clothing. Like, if I'm a company, I'm not having someone try on my clothes and give them back. Like,
yeah,
nope. It's just not literally worth the risk.
Yes.
I think I look at other photographers who have maybe gone down a more commercial route, and I wish I was getting the work they did, but I really don't. Mm-hmm. If given the opportunity, I wouldn't. Mm-hmm. So
you probably would take it, and then you'd realize how big of a mistake it was.
That I don't want to do this.
And now
you're
caught in now you're in a corner.
Right. And so I've maybe without even knowing carved out this niche for myself. And I guess at some point I recognized maybe this wouldn't be the most sellable.
I literally had the same realization recently too.
Really?
Yeah, very very much smaller scale, but like I told you all that shit that went down with the hippie I was working with, he'll remain the name, but I was working with a hippie who wanted to make a movie. He had a deadline for a month, and I was like, oh, this guy seems like he knows what he's doing. He has a lot of things in place just from like his presentation.
Right.
And I always told myself, like, I don't care who I have to work with, as long as they have the commitment I do, it'll work out.
Right.
But then you learn that some people just don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
And then you end up backing yourself in a corner. And now I was in a situation where, like...
No one wants to quit halfway through.
Yeah, right. now I'm, like, going down this hole. I already put this time in, and then there comes the fallacy of sunken cost. Whereas, like, I could be doing other things, but also I put so much time in already.
Right.
I can't just give up. I would have wasted all that time. So now I have to put in double the time in order to make up for it.
Right.
And we might not even still be able to have enough in place in order to get this done.
Yeah.
And you have to just learn to cut off that vine.
And I need to stop worrying about money so much.
Oh, yeah.
Because for a person that's financially stable, I worry about money more than I should. Mm-hmm. Especially with the business and stuff. Like, I need to be thinking about the 5 to 10 year plan. Because we're 25.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I should just be happy to do what I love and I should be thankful that whether it's paid or not, people even want to shoot with me.